allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, Keith and Sue, we need to stand and repeat our, I'll just need to stand, repeat our oath of office. So we'll kind of just insert your name where it is and we'll read the rest of it together. So I,
Sincerely today,
having been duly elected or appointed to the office of Sevastopol School Board Member, but have not yet entered upon duties thereof, swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability. And then if you'll sign that, we'll move the back to Kaylee. The school board will convene to closed session tonight to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data over any public employee or which the governmental body has jurisdiction for exercising responsibility. The closed session is pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19185 per N1, per N C, per NF, and per NG for conferring with legal counsel in consideration of a matter which, if discussed in public, would likely have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation for the individuals discussed. And those are to consider an assistant golf coach, custodian positions, high school math teacher compensation, business manager, bookkeeper, basketball coach. We have, at 7:30, we're going to break and call our insurance broker, and at 8 o'clock, we're going to break and call the attorney to deal with the migrant proposal. But for now, we will begin with the forensics.
Okay, that would be me.
You said it right, sorry.
Where do you want me for this? Up there?
Wherever you'd like to
You can
go.
talk from where.
I can talk from where. I just want to know what's best for you.
Yeah, it's good for.
This will get you on the camera.
Oh, because that's where I know what to do. Anyway. I coach forensics, and I don't know if you're familiar with forensics or not, but forensics is competitive speech. And so students that join forensics really can choose between one of two categories. You can choose to give a speech on a topic. You can write a speech and deliver a speech. Bella's going to come in and do an informative speech. I have two more that are doing moments in history, so they're given a specific time period and they have to select something that they feel important happened in that time period and talk about it. So, for example, Jordan Welsh, who's done it, this is her third year. Her first year was about the Bears winning the Super Bowl. She's a Bears fan. Last year it was about the creation of Sesame Street. This year she's talking about Earth Day. So they can pick whatever sparks their interest within that time frame. So, but they can do a speech, they can write a speech and deliver a speech, or they can do performative literature. So they can read a piece out of a book, prose. They can do poetry where they would read poems on a topic, or they can do, I have a group doing group interpretation where they, as a group, will read, they each have assigned parts and they have some movements and things like that, or they can do acting categories, so they can do a play acting, and the maximum number of people you can have is 5, or they can do a solo acting, humorous or serious. So the kids kind of pick what they would like in there, depending on the students and their time commitment sometimes impacts what they're going to choose, because if you write a speech, it's supposed to be basically memorized. If you're doing performative literature, you can read. So you just have to be able to act to go along with it, and gestures, that kind of thing. And then in the forensic season, we have 3 competitions. Our first one is sub-district, and that is local schools in Door County. The kids have to get 2 scores of 16 in order to go on to district competition, and that's held at Bayport High School. And there they need 2 scores of 21 in order to go to state. And state for us is on Friday. The maximum number of points that any student can get in a performance is 25. And really, they're competing, but they're competing against themselves. So when I judge, I could have a whole room full of perfect scores, or I could give no perfect scores. It all depends on how the kids meet the criteria of their category. So Isabella's going to do her speech, and I thought, so you get an idea of what's happening, you get an evaluation sheet. So this is what the judges are looking at during a performance. So we're looking at the topic that's selected, how did she organize her speech, language, use of academic language, gestures, her vocal delivery, is she one note, sort of blah, 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 or, a dynamic speaker. So these are the things that we're looking for. So on one side of this, it gives you the rules for the category. And then, there's 1 or 2 speakers, depending on what you're doing. Informative and demonstration speech fall in the same category. And then at the very bottom, it kind of explains what you're looking for on the other side. How does the speaker justify the relevance of her topic? How does she engage her audience? That kind of thing. And so on the side where we judge, and this is the hardest part about judging in forensics, is I'm supposed to be watching them and writing on this thing at the same time. But, so everything is scored out of 5. So 5 is obviously you're doing a fantastic job, and this is an outstanding performance, all the way down to a 1. We're hoping for none of those. So, but this is what she's being judged on, and every student that competes, there's one of these for the category that they're competing in, and it's really how well do you meet the standards that we've set for your category. And if you do a fantastic job with that, you get a perfect score, and it goes down from here. Any questions? Otherwise, I'm going to turn it over to Bob.
Do I get to read these after I'm done?
Well, I don't know if they're actually going to fill it out, but maybe.
Okay, hi, I'm Isabella and I'm here to talk to you guys regarding the detrimental effects of sexualization of youth in our society today. So researchers claim that when children and teenagers are exposed to the media, it affects a variety of aspects, inducing violent circumstances, unhealthy sexual activity, and self-objectification being among them. As a result, exposure to sexualizing content creates a higher probability of intercourse initiation and dating violence victimization. Sexualizing content is also associated with the normalization of sexual harassment and physical and emotional abuse in relations. In addition, psychologists theorize that excessive exposure to sexualized media causes viewers to internalize these gender roles and beauty standards, leading to viewing oneself as a sexual object. A study conducted by the American Psychological Association, or the APA, on the sexualization of children in the media, discovered that girls are depicted in a sexual manner far more often than boys are, often found displaying bodily postures and facial expressions that hint at sexual readiness. When 100 top grossing films in 2008 were analyzed by researchers at the University of Southern California, they found that teenage girls were 40% more likely to wear provocative clothing than adult women. Teenage girls were also more likely to appear partially naked than adult women throughout the movie, about 30%. To help you better understand the detrimental effects of the sexualization of youth, first we'll look at sexualization in schools, the normalization of sexualization in the media, and how sexualization prompts in violent environments around the globe, and finally, what we can do about it. First, children are victims of sexualization in various settings. The school system is one of them. Take a look at a typical lesson plan provided by the National Sex Education Standards, or the NSES. 7 and 8-year-olds are instructed to answer these true or false questions. Sexual intercourse should only be between a cisgender male and a cisgender female. There are only 2 genders. Cisgender boys who identify as girls must only go into restrooms labeled boys. Regardless of the answers to these questions, Dr. Judith A. Reisman, an established professor and previous consultant to the Department of Education, says little brains are not designed to process sexual stimuli of any kind. Sexualized behavior isn't inherent and is fully learned by what we experience, especially in academic settings. Teenagers aged 13 to 14 are asked these questions, such as whether they have participated in oral sex or intercourse. Minors barely into puberty will deem that the norm for adolescents their age is to partake in sexual activity. Decorated American physician in psychoanalysis, Dr. Melvin Ankle writes in his 1991 book that imbuing youth sexually provokes irreparable harm that lasts throughout their lives. It's been quite recently that young pupils are encountering sexualization in schools, yet sexualization has been deeply engraved in American society for countless decades. Secondly, sexualization is so ubiquitous, it is often referred to as the elevator music of American life. According to a study executed by the United Nations, 86% of women from the ages of 18 to 24 have experienced sexual harassment in some manifestation. It is unacceptable that sexual harassment and violence are the set status quo in our society, and is in most instances disregarded. At this point, it may as well be a rite of passage for countless girls and boys. Shouting obscenities and sexually alluding comments or gestures to someone should never be reduced to a compliment. Widely known as catcalling, which is a phenomenon that further perpetuates the victims of normalized sexual harassment. The main factor in this normalization is the absence of any sort of remorse or accountability. If one were to look at the thousands of trials and the verdicts of sexual violence held in America, one finds that a man's future is often prioritized over justice for the woman in question. And when men encounter various degrees of sexual violence, it is often brushed off. Any embodiment of sexual harassment or should never be reduced to a compliment. Subsequently, sexualization diminishes the character, intellect, and accomplishments of an individual. Pope John Paul II is quoted saying, "The problem with pornography is not that it shows too much of a person, but that it shows far too little, and that there is no dignity when the human dimension of a person is eliminated." This can also be applied to the sexualization and objectification prevalent in our society. When people are reduced to their sex appeal, experts warn that boys will grow into men with unmeetable expectations. Psychologist and marriage counselor Liz Howe discusses how a growing number of male clients are dissatisfied with marriages, sex, and just women in general. None of what they've experienced in these 3 areas is even close to the external advertising they've been told for years. It's hard to meet the perfect girl if she never existed in the first place. Lastly, sexualization is linked to higher predispositions to sexual abuse and harassment and creates violent realities for many people. The normalized sexualization and objectification in societies around the world has dramatically raised the number of girls being abused. Like clockwork, every 10 minutes, an adolescent girl's life is cut short due to this growing amount of violence, says a report by UNICEF. According to the Sexual Assault Victims Advocacy Center, 1 in 9 girls are victims of some sort of sexual abuse at least once in their lifetime, whilst 1 in 53 boys experiences sexual abuse at the hands of an adult. Our bodies are continuously objectified and hypersexualized, which contributes to an abundance of violence. On average, over 50% of ads that feature females portray them in a way that enhances potential sex appeal, even when most advertisements have nothing to do with any kind of sexual activity. When women are featured in men's magazines, this percentage rises to a staggering 76%. Advertisements set the standards for what cultures would consider normal. When advertisers take advantage of women's vulnerable position in society and degrades them and makes sexual abuse appear trivial, this significantly reduces the number of women that will come forward and report these transgressions. In a report of over 30 countries, only 1% of adolescent girls who have been raped seek help. A cultural change needs to be incited in America and around the world. All things considered, the detrimental effects of sexualizing our youth won't stop after mass schools. Sexualization will continue to negatively affect your sisters, brothers, and future children for generations to come. Sexualization will continue to be prevalent in schools, the media, and create violent environments for all of us. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 13 boys will continue to be victims of incestual rape. 1 in 6 women will continue to be raped annually in the U.S. The detrimental effects of sexualization will continue to set us up for failure as a society unless we do something about it. Being aware of sexualization present in the media and pointing it out is already a big step. What makes sexualization so detrimental is its normalization. The normalization of sexualization makes it insidious and induces gender-based violence of varying degrees, sexual activity, and viewing oneself as a sexual object first and a human second. Educate yourself and others on the signs of sexual abuse, and if you notice something, say something, because every childhood is worth fighting for. Thank you.
That was a lot of information. I would not be able to score because I was listening to information. Okay, Alexandra, your parents.
Yeah.
All of them.
Can you tell them where you went to school this fall? The program you're in?
Oh, what I
She's been, how long have you been here? 5 years? Sevastopol?
3.
3, but then tell them where you went to school this fall.
So this fall, I was appointed by Senator Baldwin to serve as the U.S. Democratic page in the United States Senate. So I lived in D.C. and went to school there.
What year are you?
I'm a junior in high school.
So the page program, you did the 4 core classes starting at like 6:30 in the morning, and then you recorded the floor, right?
Yep. And we were there till the Senate concluded for the day. So one day, I woke up at 4:30 in the morning and went to sleep at 5 in the morning the next day.
Wow.
Yeah, it was quite formative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have someone else?
No, that's it.
That's my only volunteer.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. Did we have any guests that signed up to speak? Haley, no? Okay. Is there a motion to, if no one wants anything removed from the consent agenda, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Go ahead.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Ken Grinsky, second by today to approve the consent agenda, which includes donations from the Rotary Club of York County for $5,000 to the Acrobat. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. We'll move to administrator reports and begin with Mr. Schaefer.
I'm going to go just talk briefly about our Destination Imagination, since we have a big event coming up, but our longtime advisor, our coaches of the program, Annie Rabach and Jerry Borkowitz, are leading another successful group with some great coaches. At the sectionals, all 4 of our teams, we have 1 elementary team, 2 middle school teams, and a high school team. All 4 of them took first place at sectionals. They received some or secondary awards in there for the Instant Challenge, which I learned a lot about that. But Instant Challenge is where sometimes a group will get there and they'll have 6 minutes. They won't know what the challenge is, and they have 6 minutes to perform and successfully accomplish the challenge. So we had our middle level and elementary all won, both middle school teams and elementary teams won the Instant Challenge. And then of course our middle level scientific won a Renaissance Award for exceptional creativity. So the awards keep coming in. And then at state, our elementary team took 3rd place. I know they were a little disappointed about that because the top 2 teams move on to globals, but they did a great job. Our Magic Mix middle school team took 1st place. This is also a 2-time global champion team. So they'll be going to globals. The 7 puppeteers will also took 2nd place. They'll be going to globals, and our high school engineering team also took 1st place. They are also 2-time global champions. So I guess what's really exciting is, in our process of doing some interviews, we've had teachers talk about being on their Destination Imagination teams and being very proud of making it to sectional or making it to state. And we have teams that are coming back as global champions, which is really great. On April 20th, a great opportunity for our community and everybody. We are having our Road to Globals event. It's an opportunity for our DI teams to showcase what they're doing so people can learn about that firsthand. There's going to be a silent auction, bake sale, and spaghetti dinner to help support our DI teams heading to Globals. To send 3 teams to Globals roughly costs around $40,000. So community support and people being there to help this great program and organization will be very important to our students and our school. And then anybody looking to travel and watch our teams compete at the Globals, they are May 22nd, 25th in Kansas City, Missouri. And so we are anxiously, very excited to see their performance, and regardless of how the outcome or what the outcome is, we're very proud of the work that they put in and very grateful for all the coaches who spend countless hours with these teams to help prepare them.
Thank you. Mr. Hills.
Thank you. Just want to draw some attention. We've got a number of events that are coming up, but one in particular that has always stood out to me is our Arbor Day presentation coming up next Friday. You're all invited. 1:30 next week, Friday. We plant a tree in honor of someone who's done some things for the ecosystem, especially around here. And this particular year, Brooke Tank and Katie Bruders for their work out of Eco Lab are being recognized. So an honor that's well-deserved, and again, an event that is just really neat that happens here.
If I can back up a second to Mr. Schaefer, when is the mock disaster tomorrow? Is the mock disaster tomorrow?
Yes, the mock accident is tomorrow.
And what time?
That is going to be at 10 o'clock
At the fairgrounds.
at the Door County Fairgrounds. Yes.
If you don't know what that is, they have, right, everybody knows what that is? It's fun to, I like watching it. I like watching the kids.
Well, the actors and actresses.
I like
are
watching
from
the
our
kids'
schools.
reactions. Sometimes it became real, very real.
Yeah.
Mrs. Margaret.
I just have 2 quick things. An event also tomorrow is our first makeup event for our state testing. We're almost at the finish line. It's really exhausting for the students and the staff and everyone who continue to take all of these tests all the time. So I'm happy to say that we're almost done. So tomorrow we'll do the majority of the makeup. And the other thing, it's just off the cuff right now. Just wanted to really just acknowledge the teachers and the associate staff. It's the end of the year. Everybody's looking forward to summer. Everybody's seeing the end of the school year. But I just need to take a moment to say, there's still challenges. Our kids are still going through challenges. And whether or not we want to make it through the end of the school year, we have kids that are coming into Sevastopol that are needing 100% of our teachers and all the staff. And I see them working really hard to make that happen. We have our challenging situations, and we have all these wonderful things going on, and I love all of those. On the other end of it, staff are working really, really hard to take care of kids, and I just want to acknowledge that right now.
Thank you. If anybody has anything to ask about the athletic director, the calendar report, going to the superintendent's report.
Everything I have is in the rest of the pack. I have a WASDA conference next week, and that's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in Green Bay, and Wednesday I have to go for workman's comp claim at the courthouse in Milwaukee. It hasn't been settled on the court yet, so that's from 2016.
I have later, negotiations. Dick or Jeff, you want to report? Who was it? Dick and Jeff?
Negotiations.
You were in negotiations, weren't you?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we met with the 2 representatives in negotiations. Basically, I think we just, they presented their proposal for the compensation package for the upcoming year. We discussed things, challenges for teachers and staff, and I think we had just a good open discussion. I initiated discussion about revising our present ladder system, our, whatever you want to call it. And I think both staff members that were there were receptive of it. there's a need for us to really take a long, hard look at that and revise it for next year. And I think we have good support, at least for those people, for doing it.
Their proposal was the CPI, which at this time is like 4.12% added to the base. And as far as compensation, there is that staff committee that's been working on some compensation numbers, so we'll be looking at those somewhere along the line, maybe tonight. And if we want to establish a new committee in the fall to look at things, we can do that. The communication committee have laid out the next newspaper, which will come out right around the 1st of June. Over the summer, it is going to take a look at the school website because it's dated, hard to manage for the public sometimes. Is that?
Basically what came over, yeah.
So we're going to look at it, look at some other options. Generally, websites can be expensive, but we have to find something better that isn't so expensive. And I think that was about it on that. And then Jeff and Keith, you were at the gym committee meeting. You want to update on that?
That was a good meeting. Lots of discussions on different aspects of what we would like for a gym to be, whether it be a gymatorium or multiple gyms, how we would use each of the gym spaces. If we would just maybe convert the gym spaces to gyms, or maybe the elementary gym to possible auditorium, more use in that area. And they also discussed facilities that were lacking. The current locker rooms, high school locker rooms have been updated since before we were in high school.
The showers aren't used because back in the day they had no combination versus
Room showers instead of individual showers.
they're not kind of used for storage nowadays because
How big a group did you have?
16, 15 to 20. It was a lot smaller than I was expecting.
When is the next meeting?
that's what it's like.
Next Wednesday, 32 weeks.
Every other.
So a lot of big, when I took out of it, there were a lot of big ideas, everything from little, let's have a standalone bowl shed where we can just practice, to a facility with an upper level walking track that comes out of the north end of the gym upstairs, with fitness center and locker rooms below, so the committee's gonna have to start.
Some of the ideas in the thing were from the past.
Yes,
Past, okay.
When do you anticipate bringing in an architect?
The architect was there,
Oh, he was, yeah.
the architect was there, and
He facilitated the conversation.
he will bring back some, like
Okay.
we did with the building, this building, he'll bring back some plans and some potential costs, and then the committee will start
The survey.
narrowing it down and seeing if they can come to a proposal that they want to send, or proposal or two that they want to send out to the community in a survey. So.
If you miss anyone that missed the first meeting, I would encourage they can still go to.
Still join the committee.
Still join the committee and.
There's lots of good discussion.
One other area of big discussion, I don't know that it's fixable, is parking and the inability to go from one gym to the other without going in the building where you have to go outside. That was an area of big discussion for some people, so.
Anything in progress on acoustics in the high school gym hall, or?
That gentleman hasn't given us a proposal yet. He's had some medical issues.
Oh,
We're gonna break then to call, on the 30th, we're gonna break to call the insurance broker.
961. Hi, Beck, can you hear us?
I can hear you well, thank you.
All right, can you guys hear it out there? We're working on it here, Beck, to make sure the sound's good.
No worries.
Okay, we're in open session, the board's here, we have a few guests in the audience, and the floor is yours. They do have the proposals in front of them. If you want, go ahead, start where you want, Beck.
Yep, sounds good. Okay. Well, thanks everyone, and thank you for accommodating me attending over the phone this evening. My purpose tonight is to review our marketing efforts and the renewal for the health plan for this year. As you know, over the last 5 years, we've had a rate guarantee through Purvea 360. We had a very nice decrease in premium in 2019, a rate hold in 2021. 2022, we saw a 2.9% increase, and in 2023, we saw a 3.9% increase. That was the end of our rate guarantee, and this year, the renewal from Purvea 360 came back at a 37.9% for 2024, and a 24.9% not to exceed for 2025. They made the offer as a 2-year rate proposal because otherwise they would have been calling for nearly a 60% increase in 2024 based on utilization. We know that that rate is not sustainable. We also know that the district's rates are significantly underfunded because we just have not kept up with the trends in medical and pharmaceutical costs, but also because we had that really nice rate guarantee. The district essentially took the savings up front, and now we're under pressure. So knowing that the 37.9% increase for 2024 was not reasonable, we did market to other eligible carriers that included Anthem, Network Health Plan, Wisconsin Counties Association Group Health Trust, and WPS. Each of those carriers declined to put a quote in writing for us because their rates were non-competitive, and the verbals on the non-competitive were more than 50% above the renewal rate offered by Purvea 360. So from there we had to consider alternative plan design, and the second page of the information that you have from M3 includes the 2 alternatives that we're proposing the district consider for the July 1st, 2024 renewal. The first plan would replace your current HMO plan, meaning that folks would have access to DCMC, Purvea, and the HSHS hospital system. That plan moves the deductible from $1,000 on single, $2,000 on family, to $2,000 single, $4,000 family, but it decreases the maximum out of pocket. So right now, your maximum out of pocket for a single plan is $6,850. Under the new proposal, it would be just $2,000. Once a member meets their deductible, their out-of-pocket would also be met, and this is a qualified high-deductible health plan, meaning that members could choose to save in a health savings account if they chose to take advantage of the opportunity for that tax-advantaged savings vehicle. That reduces the district increase on that plan to 5.92%, and it allows the district to reduce the second year not to exceed from 24.9% increase to 18.9% maximum increase in 2025. The other plan that's offered is the current buy-up plan. So you offer a POS allowing for out-of-network coverage for employees who choose to buy up to that option. The buy-up plan then is noted on the right-hand side of that page. That also increases the deductible for both in-network and out-of-network coverage, and it also results in savings for members on the in-network deductible. And the reason for that is to acknowledge that the best discount and the best savings that we see on the health plan is through those in-network providers. So we want to make sure that even if folks choose to have the ability to access out-of-network providers, that they're incentivized to use the in-network providers if they can. There are currently only 2 members on this health plan, but we still feel that it's important to offer access to the out-of-network care if folks want that. Now that increase decreases from the 37.9 to a 31.1% increase on that particular plan. But again, that's a bias. So your employees are choosing to pay more for that plan if they feel that that coverage best serves their family. And then again, the combination of those 2 alternatives reduces the district's maximum increase in 2025 to 18.9%. So I'll pause there. I'm sorry, I've said a lot already. Do you have questions that I can answer for you at this point? Or Kyle, anything that we've discussed that I failed to mention?
I guess, Beck, what you talk about is how we got down to these 2 options for employees, how many options we had from Prevail 360. Obviously, we can still do the same plan as last year, but then our cost increase for the district would be $525,000. We can't go up $500,000. But would you have 7 or 9 plans to whittle with Prevail 360 to start with?
That's a great point, Kyle. I'm sorry that I failed to mention that.
Okay.
We did consider 9 different plan alternatives, and in conversation with Kyle and with other members of the consortium, the 2 plans that we're presenting this evening are those that we felt were most advantageous for your members, and were both most aligned with decisions that other school districts in Door County were making.
And the other part, Beck, could you talk a little about the HSA and how folks could not start an HSA until January because of our, what's the other term?
Flexible spending account.
Yeah, flexible spending, FSA. Our staff already have an FSA. You can't have an FSA and an HSA for the same benefits at the same time. So since our folks enrolled last November, December for the calendar year 24, they couldn't change to an HSA until January 1st.
Right. So if your employees, and this doesn't apply to all, but for those employees who did select to save funds in a flexible spending account for January 1st, those people could not save in a health savings account, in HSA, until January 1st of 2025. For those who did not elect a flexible spending account, they can open that HSA right away on July 1st. And for those who do have the flexible spending account, they can use their funds in their flexible spending account for their health care expenses. And then beginning January 1st, they would be able to save in a health savings account. And they could also have a limited purpose flexible spending account if they wanted to save for dental or vision expenses in 2025. And all of this would be included in our employee education. And in case you're not familiar, we come out and do on-site meetings with your employees. We prepare a benefit guide, a presentation, and also enrollment forms for the district to help facilitate that plan selection.
And Friday, we have in-service, and Beck's going to be on site to address the staff during in-service day to explain all this. Beck, I think the next important part is discussing the 18.9% increase in year 2 compared to the other option, which is a 24.9% increase in year 2, which opt either the same exact plans for the health care for the employees. However, there's 2 ways of financing it here at the district. So can you walk them through the difference between the 2?
Absolutely. So in the 18.9% option, that increases your premium in 2024, but reduces the premium in 2025 And when you total the cost of the premium from 2024 and 2025, it is to the district's advantage. And the reason for that is Purveyor 360 is planning on members changing behavior because they have a change in their plan design. And so they're giving additional credit for that change in behavior in the 2025 renewal. So the lowest net cost for the district, the combined increase between 24 and 25, is in the 18.9% renewal option.
So the increase for year one, if we go with the plan, option would be 18.9% the second year. The first year increase would be $70,019.89. If you go with the other option of 24.9% the second year, our increase for next year would only go $34,442.74. However, in year two, with the 18.9, it'll go $306,716, or year two with 24.9 is $337,422. So you save only like $31,000 by going to 18.9. But at year two, it's $250,000. But it's the only option we have, unless we go to the, well, back, did they even give us a one-year option on these?
Well, the one-year option is taking nearly a 60%
Right,
in 2024.
Right, so you can't go up 60% in 1 year, but you can take 2 years at the rates there. And the good thing is, with the referendum in November, which start collecting for the 25-26 school year. So that's part of how we'll determine how much money we need to ask for in November, because they're going to see a cost go by $250,000 on your insurance. And we want to keep providing something with for our employees, even though our employees' deductibles are going to double.
But then we put a control in place for their maximum out of pocket.
Right, maximum out of pocket changes, right, but the deductible goes up, right. There's give and take, and so it depends who you are.
Exactly.
Depends on your usage, where you'll end up, if you'll end up.
That's exactly right.
It's very disappointing when the other 4 or 5 companies gave us no bids. And there's no way, in fact, there's no way M3 could consider that the other companies won't give us a bid, correct?
Well, based on how low your rates are for the value of your coverage, the other carriers simply won't provide a proposal because they know they're not competitive. And that is indicative of the loss ratio of the consortium, where we know that we're paying out more in claims than what we're collecting in premium. And so that's why the other carriers aren't able to be competitive in their proposal.
In other words, in the next year, the odds of having another company enter into the bid are pretty slim.
Well, the only way we can go at Purveyor 360 for 1 year is 60% increase.
Right, okay.
And so then you're better off going this route than 60% in year one. And then what would change with the other companies to say in year two, we're going to give you a bid, and what they'd be bidding on is something that's already 60% higher. Well, now we can be competitive because they came up 60%. She said one company offered 68% greater. Well, then they're looking at 8% points, right? So it's
right, and
healthcare is
I
expensive.
do believe healthcare is absolutely expensive. I do believe the district will be better positioned in 2 years, however, because this makes an effort to right-size your rates. So, when we consider where the district was in 2019 and even in 2018, where we've taken the rates since then, the district cumulatively is in a really good position with regard to where your rates are, in terms of you took advantage of those savings opportunities, and that serves the district well. But now we're in a position where those rates need to come up in order to be sustainable. And as we take these next 2 years, 24 and 25 renewals, to get the rates to more of a market level position, that should also put us in a better position for other carriers to return competitive proposals in 2026.
Okay, in fact, when you say they're going to give competitive proposals in 2 years, we have to remember that's going to be with a jump in price by $300,000, and then we're
That's
in line
correct.
with the rest of the market. So
Correct.
it sounds like, oh, we'll be competitive in 2 years, but it's only because we jacked up by $1/3 $1,000,000 in year 2. That's the only way.
That's correct. Yes, it's because we've caught up from how far behind we were.
Is part of this problem that northeastern Wisconsin's medical costs are much higher than the rest of the state? Are we in an area where our negotiated services are much higher?
Well,
Yeah, okay.
York County is in a position where you have one hospital and you have, one major provider system. You also in York County have a lot of folks who rely on Medicare for their access to health care. And we know that Medicare doesn't reimburse at the same rate that private health insurance does. And so, the hospital, in order to continue to provide the vast array of services and high-quality services that they do provide, healthcare is expensive then.
So basically, when the hospital doesn't make it on the Medicare patients, they make it on the other patients, which is our employee base.
Somewhat of a localized effect.
Right, because the others, they're not making enough money on the Medicare people, so they make it on the people that have insurance, and we're one of the employers in the area.
Right. And in other parts of the state, let's just say Dane County, for instance, a lot more plans are offered at more competitive rates.
There's more hospitals, there's more plans, there's more people.
We're seeing much lower increases.
And Dane County, for example, has 2 HMOs that compete with one another. And so, their rates are more competitive because they're 2 life plans. Where our HMO option with Purvey 360 is essentially the only HMO option that's available to employers in York County.
Hang on, Beth. Can Sue, can you tell us what you said about Green Bay?
Yeah, I said our CSA increases are much less than this.
It's a localized effect because of what's negotiated by our local hospital, our clinic.
Well, it's the only game in town.
That's the only game in town.
Right.
Unless you're willing to go to Green Bay and get services, we're locked into whatever is negotiated here.
So
This covers.
they've made a recommendation to us, what's next, what's your next
What, is it
step?
18.9, is that what the recommendation?
My recommendation is go with 18.9 in year 2. Keith, what was your question?
I was just saying, don't, this plan allows people to go to Green Bay.
Yeah, they can, right. And Prevea 360 will encourage us, like if you're going to need MRI, they want you to go to Kiwani. But our folks won't go to Kiwani because it takes twice as long to get there, twice as long to get back. And what's the difference at one point when you're already reach your deductible to keep saving the consortium or the health insurance company money when you've already made it, and now so I got to spend my extra time going to Kiwani or Green Bay when I might as well just go to York County Medical Center at some point because I'm at my yeah, right, you've already spent your money, so why would I continue my drive to save the insurance company money? I mean,
They're not going to pass it up. They're not.
And we've done that education with your staff over the last several years, but I think that education will be received differently this year, given that, over the last couple of years, when we first started it, you had a 0% increase, and yet we were trying to encourage folks to do what they can to control their spend. This year, I think they will feel that their choices do have an impact, and that anything that we can do to help reduce their utilization helps to reduce the premium increase that we will see.
Okay, back Dave's got a
Yeah,
question.
just related to that, you're saying the second year can go down because you're planning in that change in behavior. My only question is, what if that change in behavior doesn't produce what you're expecting? I mean, so I guess that means we ride out the second year because it's a contracted rate, and then we look to the third year for the readjustment again.
Yeah, the second year's guaranteed cap at 18.9. Could have been less.
That's correct.
We always figure worst
Thank you.
case scenario, right?
Confirming that.
Yeah.
I don't change my behavior
So-
stuff.
Yeah, If folks don't change their behavior, then we would be looking at that not to exceed of 18.9% in 2025. And then we would still market your coverage in 2026. And we will always check for what is, the best plan that's available to serve all of the districts.
One other thing, Beck, we should mention is that we had 2 rates for the employees last year for their contribution. It was either 12% or 15% if they participated in biometric screening. It was 12% like the old one. If they didn't, it was 15%. And Prevea 360 is now dropping the biometric requirement. But what they're doing is they're saying you have to go to get a physical by, was it May 1st of 2025? Because all of a sudden they're springing this on us now. We went through this, last year, just biometrics, well, this time of year. But they're canceling the biometrics and they're saying, no, we want you to see your regular physician for a physical for preventative measures. And so by next year, then the people either they pay 12% of their insurance with a annual physical, or they'll pay 15% if it's not with a physical. So we are incentivizing people to stay healthy and be preventative. But Prevea 360 is switching for biometrics.
People don't do yearly physicals right now?
What?
I'm surprised that people don't do yearly physicals already.
Well, some of us don't go to the doctor.
We absolutely hope that they do.
I don't go to the doctor.
Guy for a long time.
No, I don't go to the doctor every
I'm
year.
still learning stuff.
I go every year.
Age and age thing.
Well, when you're 20 or 30, you're invincible. You're not going to get sick.
That's part of the affordable health care.
So this is not an action item.
Well, it is later on.
Oh, it is?
It is down under,
We make a motion or no?
where is it? Jeez,
Budget.
we're out of order because of time. All right, it'll be next month then. This is all we got.
All right, so we'll have to make a decision on this next month. Do we have additional questions for the representative? Good with her?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, thank you for your time.
And what else
Appreciate
qualifies?
it.
Thank you.
What else qualifies as compensation in closed session? Because it is compensation.
Okay.
Yeah, it's compensation.
What kind of participation do we have in HSAs?
We don't have HSA right now, we have SA, flexibility, and we have a little over 100 employees. I'm guessing like maybe 20 or 30, maybe 40 people have a plan. Yeah, and a lot of them use it for daycare costs because that's a set cost that they know they're going to have. Some will use it for their deductible if they know they're going to reach their deductible annually. Because you have to use it or you
Flex
use
is
it.
different.
Yeah.
Some money, you either have medical or daycare. You can't use your medical for your daycare. You have
Right, it's like you've got to designate it back in.
But I mean, how many utilize an FSA for their medical?
I don't know that.
I mean, I think the big thing about this, obviously it's a no-brainer if we have to do something, but I think the biggest thing is the educational piece of to the staff, like how we got this.
That's why I'm curious.
I mean, I'm glad, it's good that they're providing that educational piece because, I mean, they have to understand how they.
Well, and that's why my Friday updates to the staff, I've been doing them, hey, here's where we're at with it. These are the companies that won't give us a bid.
And
And that's why now she's coming
Good idea.
Friday.
HSA, because your deductible now, you're having to pay the first 2,000. Before you got a $20 copay with the doctor, but you're paying $300 to go to the doctor because it's really deductible. So I mean, that's an educational piece.
For the HSA, could give you a tax benefit.
Right, but I mean, if you have an HSA, then that $300 you save
Right, it's tax.
tax benefits. But I mean, that's all.
It's,
Yeah.
right. So we're gonna have some folks that are gonna change their financial behavior and their doctor
And that's
behavior
what
based on
the
this.
insurance is paying.
And that's why but they want 18.9 is they know where they're going, you know what I mean? It's gonna give us that number, all right? Yeah, they got a good feel for where they're at.
They have that.
We have a couple of minutes before our minor call, before our attorney call, so anything on the budget?
The budget, if you remember last month, Fund 10 had more funds in it. We transferred this to Fund 39, so our general fund, Fund 10 has 2.8 million at the end of March. And Fund 39, which is for the building project here, a 20-year loan, which we have 17 years left to go, or 16 and a half or something, is 3.0 million right now. So those are the two things, the money I transferred over, so it's sitting there making next payments what they're doing.
Facilities?
Who moved the facility last month? I can think of them. I mean, we had the power outage that one day of the storm. And then the next day, the phones went down for a while and the internet for a little bit. Otherwise, it was okay.
Under board goals, before we received Mr. Lipke's resignation, we had a really nice plan for the summer, having a facilitator in, and the board and Mr. Lipke would meet, the board and Mr. Lipke and this administrative team would meet, and meet with the directors, food service and transportation, and athletic director. And we had a facilitator in mind, but we were planning to hopefully do that in June. But now Mr. Lipke will be leaving us, so I'm going to leave that to the board. Do we want to still do that, or do we want to hold off on that goal-setting session until we establish where we are with the superintendent in July 1st, and when the superintendent would come?
My preference would be a little more.
I would say it, but maybe we should be.
And also, we're going to have a few meetings here now. Yes. For a while, so, but it was a good plan. So, it was a good plan, Mr. Lipke.
Thanks.
So,
If we could, I'd like to revisit, after, just before school starts, to do that, if we could, with our new superintendent. That'd be a great way to bring them in, is that team building, get to know everybody, and everyone gets to know the team player. Just for a comment.
So we have a couple minutes left. Do you have anything you want to report that's timely on the legislative area?
Well, indirectly related to legislation, we know that finding teachers is a real problem, and legislators have been looking at it, and DBI has been looking at it. And at our CISA board meeting the other night, we got a handout, educator licensing and job opportunities working in local school. And Sevastopol is one of the districts participating in this. And there will be sessions for people to learn about educator licensing and job opportunities. There's one Saturday, the 27th of April, from 9 to 12, and Java on Jefferson in Sturgeon Bay. And then there is one Careers in Door County Schools on Saturday, May 4th. 9 to 12 at Walls Coffee on Madison, and one on May 4th, 9 to 12 again. So it's an opportunity for people who may be interested in careers in education to be able to participate.
Troy, Aaron, or Melissa, did you guys work with Tim Raymond?
I worked with Tim on that, and we got some input from Southern Door as well. We thought rather than trying to find teachers who might be around the area, we're trying to find people who might not have thought of or have kind of thought of education as something that they'd like to do but don't know how to get into it. And having these information sessions might find somebody who's looking for a second career. Maybe they're retired and looking for something to do. Somebody who was doing something else and isn't happy doing that and is looking to change careers. So this kind of an event we thought would be better than just doing like a job fair and trying to see if we can get some educators to come out and get some people who haven't
It's
really
for
thought
people
about it.
interested in teaching or substitute teaching or teacher aides.
how are we getting the word out? How are they getting the word out to the people in the community?
We're going to send information out through all of our own means in each of our districts, whether that's newsletters and Facebook and all those kind of things. We talked about some other things too. We haven't pursued it yet, but seeing if maybe the town would let us use their billboard and put something out there. We're going to have a landing page that's been hosted by CISA on the internet. That page will have links to each of our districts for people to look and see what jobs are available, find out how to get in touch with people in those districts to learn more. So a number of things are in the works with that.
Thank you. So it's 8 o'clock and we will break to get the school legal counsel, Mary Wiggering, on the phone to talk about selection of a general contractor should Jim proposals move forward.
Stephen, you need a chair.
Hi, Mary. This is Kyle. We're in open session, and you're on speakerphone.
Okay, great.
All right,
Good evening.
and we are discussing, we just got to the topic of the Byron proposal as a general construction contractor for the auxiliary gym project if that passed through a referendum.
Good evening, everyone. This is Mary Gerbig, and on the phone with me, I also have Attorney Jim Carroll. And I wanted to at least give you some information related to our previous discussion about the procurement policy. And I wanted to remind everyone that under that policy, you have a $25,000 number. If you were looking at hiring architects under the Wisconsin statute, you have the ability to be able to hire architects, but the same is not true of other construction firms. And the procurement policy is in place to try to assist the board to have a dollar figure in terms of what is a material value which would require you to also enter into some type of bid process. If you were going to look at not following that process, you would have to vote to suspend the policy. You would have to do a two reading type of process which your board engages in for all other policies, and also articulate and state what the reason for suspending the policy is, and use that as a background to you now have a proposal from a particular company. And I'd like to be able to just remind you of a couple things. We, as attorneys, work with you and have an attorney-client privilege, and that's not something that we can waive. If we would like to have specific questions, asked and answered related to a particular proposal, that I would recommend that we go into closed session. The purpose for going into closed session is specifically stated under 19.85 in terms of conferring with legal counsel. But I wanted to at least have Jim Carroll give you some general information, which we can give you in open session, regarding what are the types of claims or types of processes that you might see if you were not to follow your procurement policy. And Jim, do you feel comfortable jumping in at this point?
I do. Thank you, Mary. Good evening, everybody. As Mary said, I think when we're in an open session, we want to be sure that we're speaking in a broad or a general sense. But I will just mention very, very briefly and sort of very high level that in circumstances where someone wants to challenge a public body, including a school board, decision to follow a policy, not follow a policy, follow a statute, not follow a statute, it can do so via what's called a mandamus action. And a mandamus action is, it gets a little technical, but essentially it's a civil claim in which someone is seeking to compel a public entity, a public body like a school board, to do something or not do something, to take an action or not take an action. And so in the context of purchasing and procurement, we do see when, for example, if there is an RFP process or a bid process, and you have a bidder or a proposer who's dissatisfied with the outcome of that process, they can use the mandamus action to challenge that. And we've certainly seen that before. Similarly, if an individual, a company in this case, I suppose, or an individual feels that a school board should have handled things a certain way and didn't, it can use that mandamus process to again challenge that in court. And it has to establish in court that it has a clear legal right and that there, to something that the governmental body had a duty to carry out, and that it didn't do so, and that there were damages. So it gets a lot more complicated than that, but that's the simple version. And again, as Mary mentioned, I don't think, unless we were to discuss at a future session in closed session specific questions or specific instances related to this matter, I don't think it's necessary to go into more detail. We just wanted to give you a basic sense of kind of the legal framework there.
Any questions for Mary and Jim?
So our policy is that we cannot exceed $25,000 without coming to.
Unless you suspend your policy, which takes 2 readings. Right.
And just a general question, that process to challenge, so I guess the risk is kind of the same. Anyone can follow this process if you go to compete or you don't compete. Is that correct? The mandate?
Well, I guess I would say that someone could use this process to challenge in a number of different contexts. I think, well, I wouldn't say that the risk is the same, because I think risk always depends on specific factors and specific circumstances. So I think I'd be hesitant to say the risk is always the same, but I agree with you that that the mandamus action is can be broadly used to challenge what a government body does or doesn't do.
That helps, thanks.
Sure, thank you.
Any other questions for Mary and Jim?
I think it's done.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
All right, thank you.
Please.
Thank you. All right, we'll come back to that item. The next item on the agenda is the WIA Girls Soccer Co-op Agreement. Is there a motion on that? To co-op with?
Make a motion to approve the girls soccer co-op agreement.
Second?
Motion by Volkman, second by Today to approve the girls soccer co-op agreement. Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Sue, you've been the CC7 school district's representative to the agency convention. You wish to do that again?
I will be there.
Is there a motion to that effect?
Move to approve the appointment of Susan Day as our representative in CC7.
Second.
The motion is by Wyman, second by Volkman. Questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Can we get your phone form tonight, so I can send it back to?
Okay. Then we've got a snow day. that wasn't used?
One snow day that hasn't been used, our scheduled last day of school is May 31st with in-service on the 3rd for teachers. The recommendation is to have the last day be the 30th for students and then the in-service on the 31st. A lot. Granted, we're not having more snow. We're done, right?
Just jinx it.
Are you sure about that?
Or any other
Any other
tragedy?
closed down for electrical, whatever.
Move
No,
the-
no
move the-
closed days.
First
Move
one.
to approve the snow day allocation as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Kekrinsky, second by Volkman to approve the snow day allocations. Last day of school is the 30th, during service on the 31st. Then we come back to this contractor minor proposal.
We have a vote.
Oh, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Come back to this minor contractor proposal. There was discussion last month about maybe we don't go out to bid because we've got a good past relationship with minor.
Ray was recommending that we have a great past relationship and they didn't want to waste other companies' times bidding and getting a bid package and presenting because we had great success with Myron. We're leaning that way already.
So, the figure that she's presented here, estimated monthly general, what does that actually represent?
That's,
Under general conditions, 31,500.
that's for them providing the building project superintendent, project manager, all the things you see listed there on site for the months of construction. If we, wow.
And the overall proposal is 2% fee on the total cost.
Total cost of whatever we're talking about, kind of building, you
So
know.
we really don't know yet.
That's why it's a percentage, right? That-
We don't even know.
Right, we don't know yet, right?
This is just,
The advantage of
we have one
Myron,
meeting and
right, the advantage of bringing Myron on early is the no charge for pre-referendum assistance, which they did last time for us.
this would just be planned and
And yet we've heard from our attorneys that not bidding is in violation of our policy.
Unless you suspend the policy.
Yes.
So we would have to suspend it. Well,
That's my understanding.
I mean, I guess it'd be more prudent to suspend the policy before we even got an estimate, so we could act on it after we got the estimate, because it's probably going to be over $25,000.
It will.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And if companies want to be competitive and apply, we hope so. We just found out about our healthcare that no one did. Right, sometimes they don't, right, you ask and you don't get what you want, right? Competition's always healthy, you know?
What do we have for this project? How many bids, do you remember what the bids were from other general managers?
We interviewed,
Both bids, three of them?
we interviewed 3 in person, but I think we had 5, 6, or 7. Remember we sat in the office and
There were
we
quite a
whittled
few.
it down to the 3 we brought in, but we had more bids for that. We had proposals, we went through all the proposals, we had a checklist, and we picked the top 3 to interview, and then we had 3 presentations, and we made the selection from Myron.
Because what we would do is, I guess the committee would keep going to get options. So the value of the construction manager, depending on where it fits in the process, is I think they bring the estimates more realistically, because the last thing you want to do is go out for bid with an estimate that was not really based all that awesome, and that's how projects get in and run over budget. I think one of the benefits of the method last time was the construction manager really helping the group and the people facilitating. So when the architect would dream up this really cool stuff, the construction manager would say, well, okay, what's going to cost this, this, and this? So however we figure out, I just want to make a plug that having the construction manager in this group forum when people are talking about all these great ideas and tracks on the roof and stuff like that, well, that costs money, right? And a construction manager can talk today's dollars, today's construction, so people say, oh yeah, all right, I understand the dreamland, we gotta get back
That
to
would be
reality.
nice, but
Right, and that's just a plug for them, and now, I don't know.
But other construction management will also have the same, insight.
Yep, I said a construction manager, not even this one, just a construction manager, and then the question goes to timeline and process. And
I mean, it just comes down to whether you want to suspend policy or not. That's what it comes down to.
Well, I think what I would offer, in addition to that, is the decision on the table is, do we feel the group will do justice to our taxpayer to do due diligence and get a fair cost?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's important.
Yeah.
Secondarily, we can waive the policy because we look at policies all the time. It's not a law.
But you have to do it.
Yeah.
You can't slip over it.
Well, I agree. I think the bigger decision is everyone comfortable that how we managed the contract last time, so a team similar to that, would they be in execution, because that's what it would be, in execution of the contract, are we watching the dollars closely?
So somebody would have to write up the new policy based on a figure that we.
Well, we could just
Well, no,
suspend
you
it
would
temporarily.
suspend it, the policy,
Just
just
suspend the
suspend
policy.
for this time, but I take the manual, make it 2 board meetings, make it June be regular, or the other get special meetings, and then you say, okay, we're waiving it because we know we're going with Myron, we'll get going now.
All right.
Can you run through the competition in less than 2 months?
Probably. Yeah, you could put on a, right, couldn't you?
Probably.
Yeah.
So just have to get them back in quick, because some of it is, I think, we've seen, in fact, the first comment from the architect was, prices just keep going up and up and up, so the more we wait, now, it may not get approved, huge point, but, costs are skyrocketing, so if it was approved and if it made sense and the need, right, that's the most important thing, if the need for the school district is there, then let's get out with it. The longer we wait, the more costs.
Maybe we should consider doing both things, suspending this policy and opening up the bids.
Well, there'd be no reason to suspend.
If you want to do it, then you want to just suspend the policy.
Okay.
Right?
Well, do
Because
they need to suspend policy to continue meeting with Ray?
no, because Bray's an architect, so you're okay. Myron's
Just Myron.
Right, and she said architect's okay, that's fine. It's bringing someone else on board.
do the actual
So the question is, do you want to go to bid, or do you want to suspend the policy and work with Myron?
My input is, I thought they served the school well. They helped with the communication and clarification, and it was, my one input is I didn't see surprises in all our teams and meetings. They were open and real. When something was missed or something, we talked through it as a group for the options.
I think they offered a lot of help on the front end too, that they, she was involved on the pre-stuff, and they offered a lot of, and they don't charge for that.
She'd be able to help when you say pre-referendum,
That's
when we're going to go out to survey, she'd be able to
That's what
help
I'm
with
saying.
that.
Absolutely, that's what is in her,
Right.
this part here, correct.
What,
I don't know, I think 2% is a pretty good rate, right? But I don't know if someone would beat that.
I think the impact would be is if you wanted to go for, I would maybe slow roll going to the public yet, so the committee could still be gathering, because there's time for the need, and then some options, and then into those options talking about the gymatorium, the locker rooms, all that kind of stuff. And then if you could get a construction manager on, whoever that is, to finish out. There are options to go either way, just the bid probably is gonna take longer. And that's, at the end of the day,
And
that's.
then if you have your bids, you don't have to necessarily go with the low one anyway. I mean, if Myron's,
Right.
That is correct.
or whoever's closest to whoever, then you still have that option.
That is correct.
And if people are busy and you get no bids or something, we'll have to immediately know. I'm just looking at options so everyone knows.
And
I still say.
Myron could, if we go out to bid, then submit a proposal and maybe different percentage than what they're showing here today.
Yeah.
They may say, well, it's going to be higher or lower, or whatever, you have to stay with it.
They don't have to stay with their number, yeah.
Right, they don't say what their numbers.
No, unless you're gonna be competing with other people. You never know. It might be higher, because they know everybody else will be higher.
Yeah, that's a disadvantage.
That's true.
'Cause it's kind of our third, it would be if it's passed, the need is there. It'd be really the third project because the athletic complex out there was a Myron project, but that was, we got a deal on that one because of our building project. Right.
We kind of went through this with performance contract negotiations way back. But we had an exemption there to exceed the revenue limits. And we had competitive bids of Johnson Controls, we had two other companies on the performance contract. We went with Johnson Controls because they already had the maintenance contract here at the state, I mean, school.
Right.
So, it could work, you know, I guess it worked out all right.
Yeah. And then they've got familiarity. Very nice.
I move that we waive our policy and move forward with the construction manager of Myron.
I think it was explained, you have to suspend the policy first
No,
with 2 weeks, and then you can do that.
Right.
all right.
And I think at the second
We
meeting,
don't have too much to think about.
if you suspend the policy tonight, and then you suspend the policy at the
Didn't tell me
second
what to say.
meeting, then after that, at the same meeting, you could approve the contract. You got to do it in order.
Revise your motion, Dave.
What is the policy?
Is it 6320?
Correct.
What's the number again?
6320.
Do you want to revise your motion, Dave?
Sure, so I move to, what was the word? Suspend. I move to suspend the policy 6320 for the consideration of a gym,
The auxiliary jump back.
for the auxiliary gym project.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or discussion? Keely, do you have that motion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we have the fun Snackle Box food trucking soft opening.
Brad Russell, who substitutes for us, and he substitutes for us, and he is the driver's ed for our students, although it's not part of our school, but he does a lot of driver's ed for our students. He is opening a Snackle Box food truck, but it's really not a food truck, it's a pontoon boat, and this summer he's going to go from beach to beach serving food. He would like to do a soft opening here at school with the boat on a trailer.
I was gonna say over there.
I was wondering why this was here, like, what?
Well, and here's the difficulty with it is, you gotta think about, okay, we allow one business to do this, then you gotta let the others do it. And he wants to do it for staff on some day this spring, because he wants to get a soft opening. He cannot, however, feed all the staff in the lunch times of the staff members. They have to order a few days in advance, and then, but he'd like to park his Snackle Box pontoon on a trailer out here and do this. And I thought, well, I don't know if we want to have one business have that ability. And I said, well, you can't feed everybody. So he goes, well, maybe I'll get some of my competitors to come too, and we can have like 3 or 4. I said, well, hang on, let's slow down, let's go one at a time here. So it's unique. So if you let someone do something like this, do a one-time soft opening, okay.
You're just gonna park it over in the.
I don't know where he's probably over. I thought you
Well, I
parked
thought
the
we can't
buses on
compete
with.
with, I thought we can't compete with the food program.
This would be for the adults, not the kids. So you could feed adults. You can't. The kids can't use it because it's a competition with the food service. You're right. And he can't feed that many people anyways. He can't feed our whole staff.
Do we do it on a day when the staff is here and no students, or?
Unfortunately, no, because that's only Friday, and he's not ready to go by this Friday. It'd
How about
have
May
to be some
31st?
other-
We just approved that Friday.
Well,
He might want to be on the water by then, I don't know. I don't know how this all works.
I had a couple staff members tell me they thought it would be lots of fun. They liked the guy. And if you can't serve everybody at one time, maybe you can do elementary one day and high school the next day. And if the staff doesn't eat in the cafeteria, we save money because the staff eats free in the cafeteria. Lots of reasoning going on.
So we do it from time to time, cater out for the staff.
We've brought food in for the staff.
Right, so this is not.
So, he's obviously charging a fee, right?
He's gonna charge, if you're one of the teachers that orders lunch, you're paying for your own lunch, yeah, there's nothing, yeah, it's very unique, and so I thought, well, before I said yes to this, I better bring it to you guys, because this is unusual, I mean, I've never heard anything like this, right? I've never heard of a staff of, I've never heard of a floating pontoon boat that serves food either, so, you know what I mean?
There's certain requirements that he has to meet as far as food. I mean,
That's why you got that in your packet saying he's cleaned by the Department of Health, right? Right.
He's legit.
He's legit, and he's a good guy, and he subs here, but I just thought before I do something really out in left field, I should let you guys decide what to do
Is
with
he
it.
charging the teachers?
He's gonna charge the teachers, yeah, he's gonna charge, it's a soft opening for him.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a,
He wants to try it.
yeah, and that's why he did, so I'd like to say May 31st, well, I think he's gonna be on the water by then, I don't know. Yeah. When's the water warm enough in Brooke County?
I was gonna say, when people actually go to the beach, somebody's gonna make us.
August 10th, and then by 11th it's cold, yeah.
People are beaching it in May.
Yeah,
Maybe get into.
May 31st would be pretty optimistic to get people off the water.
If you want to offer them May 31st, you could.
Yeah.
So that's like school, the less in service.
That'd be, it's, you mean,
Last day of school?
Does it have to be a day when the kids are here?
it doesn't have to be a day when the kids aren't here. I'm just telling, that's what Sue said to the feed us. I said,
You might have good participation on that day if you have a good service.
maybe you can feed us longer.
Yeah.
Well, okay, then someone can make a motion for May 31st, but I just didn't want to give one business an opportunity that other businesses
Well,
weren't
then
getting.
we need
And
to open up that day and.
of course, I don't know any other foreign
food truck that
pontoon
wants
boats
to come
that
in.
serve food, so.
There are plenty of food trucks though.
So you can open up
Could
every
the
food truck in
motion
the
be
county
that
and whoever shows up.
Anyone that has a
Well,
food
they
truck
have to
can
come and
bring
show us
their
their
recommendations.
recommendations. We have to have this to say discussion.
Right, that's why I'm.
We have to go to
It's
open
just-
it.
This is very
Come
unique.
in and make recommendations.
I'll make a motion to approve the Snack-a-Box food truck soft opening for the staff for May 31st.
I'll second that.
Motion by Isaacson, second by Weidman. Questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Then we have 2 time off requests.
The first one's from Bridget Isaacson. Her son's on a DI team that's going to the competition down in Kansas City, Missouri, May 22nd to 25th. She's asking for leave on teams we've done 21st, so she's looking for Thursday, May 23rd and Friday, May 24th. That is 2 days in May. We only allow, our policy only allows 1 personal day in for the staff on May, and it also extends Memorial Day weekend, which we don't allow extensions of a holiday weekend. And she did have her one-time exemption last year, but her concern is the parent to be able to go and supervise her child on the trip.
I would move to approve the request for time off of Bridget Isaacson.
Okay, can I just, okay. We have the discussion before, I'm just, you said a lot there,
Yeah.
so.
In our
2
current-
things and already used the 1 thing.
You want a second person or me to
Or
second?
how do you want it? Somebody-
I guess since we have a motion, we should have a second.
Have we made exceptions?
And- Okay, there's no second, so
Okay.
we're going to discuss.
Okay, so we usually give a staff member 1 exception. She took an exception last year to go to DI with this, so she's had as an employee, she's had 1 already. This is 2 days in a row in May. The policy says you may take 1 of your 2 personal days in May. It's also extending a holiday weekend, and the policy says you can't use a personal day to extend a holiday weekend, so there's 3 items there.
Well, I think the big one is, or we have a policy, we made that exception, we kind of opened up Pandora's box. So now we have people coming in the second. So I think, I hate to deny somebody an opportunity to be with their kid, I get that. I don't know the circumstances of the father or whatever, but I'm just saying, like, if we do this one time, then what about the next time? And then, so next year, or, I mean, where do we draw the line, or do we need to change our policy of it? And I don't know if we need to change that because of this one instance, maybe that's a discussion we need to have.
We might as well not have a policy.
Right, but that's what I'm getting at. Why do we even have a policy then? You know, I'm all for people being with their kids. I also understand we have kids here that also have a need, and that's why we have that policy, because we ran into circumstances where everybody wants off for things. That's why we have policy in place. So, sometimes you have to say no to people, and that's all I'm saying. Like you asked last year, or maybe we need to put in like a 5-year, like once every 5 years or something. I mean, what happened?
Doesn't make any difference if it's an hourly employee or a salaried employee. Because a salaried employee, you pay them for their salary and their replacement. Here, you're just paying less for the hourly employee.
Right, I don't know the answer to that point of things. I just know that policy.
And I would just for discussion, right, I think what I remember, the purpose of the policy is because at the end of the year, there's a lot of stuff that is getting wrapped up. We struggle to get subs, and we worry about positions getting filled. So I think that was the purpose, right? That's the purpose. And I kind of agree with the discussion on policy, and this particular policy was brought up before, and we haven't taken action on it at this point. I'm just talking, paint the whole picture. Wait, so that was the data point that everyone has? There's just, everyone heard you.
Are there any other comments or discussion? Hearing no second to Mr. Wyman's motion that died, is there another motion?
So by hearing nothing, I'm hearing I stay with what's in the handbook and deny it. That's what because I'm with all the handbook because I have been directed by the board to break the handbook. Okay.
So this is, we're still discussing, right? So this is the second DI global competition for this group? Or third?
This is the second time Bridget's asked to go to DI. She went last spring as well.
I'm looking for extenuating circumstances that anybody would want to listen to. So is this the group that's going to go to globals and has won twice and is going to win the third, or compete for the third? Yes. Does that matter to anybody?
Like again, I try to take the emotion out of decisions. I mean, we have some decisions that are emotionally based, and I think sometimes, like I said, I'm not a hard guy. I mean, I'm all about family and whatever, but I'm saying we have a policy. We set a policy for a reason, and then we sometimes prevent that time, and then we open up Pandora's box. That's all I'm saying. And either we need to modify our policy so we don't run into these hard decisions. I mean, and again, is it a hard decision? I don't know. I mean, we have a policy. It's not right. I mean, I don't know, but
Well, if you're going to follow the policy, then don't have it.
that's my point there. So I get it. It's an opportunity for a teacher or an employee to experience something. I might think of DI, and I'm just saying, like, I never it's a great experience, but
Because we've made exceptions in the past for different reasons, I think we really need to revise our policy.
I That's in the
Seems-
employee, that's in the
And that's what we
employee
talked
handbook.
about last time.
Right, but we don't know what the answer is this year. Okay, so it's in the employee handbook. And we talked about changing it, but no one, we've had on the agenda before, no one has a better idea of how to do it. We had, back in the day, we had 2 personal days, you take them anytime you want, and we found out that everyone saved them until May, and take it 2 days on May, and you're short subs. So it's okay, 1 in May, 1 some other time of year, and a limited number of teachers and aides on any particular day, because all of a sudden, everybody wants a Friday off in May, because I can tell you, because I keep track, because they gotta get permission from me, and I'll tell you on the May calendar, the 3rd, 10th, and 17th are already filled up. And then I'll get a request tomorrow, the next day, hey, can I have the, actually it'll be Friday, in-service day, when the teachers don't have kids, they'll start thinking about other things, and say, hey, I haven't used the personal yet, and they'll shoot me an email, can I have the 3rd, 10th, or 17th, and I'll say, no, you can't, because they're already full up on full
That's the
hours.
policy.
Well, because, yeah, that's in the handbook, but it's not a policy, it's in the handbook, an employee handbook, which the board approves annually. Okay, so it's an employee handbook, it's part of what we have. Would we run out of subs in May if everyone got their 2 days in May? We, as an admin team, sat down today because the NHS induction ceremony and academic banquets on Wednesday, the 24th, and it's a luncheon, so parents are welcome to come, try to pay for their own meal. And what do we have, 12 staff members whose kids are being honored, and so we're doing internal self-coverage to try and see if we can get them all there. Plus, staff is running the event, and some of the staff have been selected by the new NHS members as an inspirational person, so now also we've got 12 or 14 people that we need subs for, and it's a conglomerate mess, you know. And then you take 65 high schoolers out of here, and the other 120 stay here, and you gotta figure out what you're doing. It's a big puzzle for one day, for lunch. Yeah.
And that's what I guess the policy was set for, like the greater good, I guess you would call it. There was need for it, so and Sheffield brought up a good point about salary versus not. I don't know what that necessarily means. We should have different policies for what. I think at a point we should relook at it or something.
Okay, so we can revisit that practice at another meeting if there's no motion. There's no action and Mr. McKee follows the handbook. Move on then to Claudia Barjarona.
Claudia has a daughter who's a senior. She's going to go to college in Spain next year, so she'd like to drop her child off at college. Spain's not, you know, that takes a trip to go do that. She's asking for 13 days off, which is from August 26th, and I don't know next year's calendar. It's earlier in your packet, right? Was it the snow day? Oh no, that's this year's calendar. And I didn't include this next year, but she's looking off from August 26th through September 13th, which is 4 days of those days are in-service days as well. So she wants to go to Spain, a unique situation. The college in Spain doesn't have dormitories, so she has to find an apartment in Spain, and it's pretty unique. I recommend it's her one-time exception, let her go. I mean, you can't, not too many parents are going to send their kid halfway around the world and leave them there without knowing what the apartment looks like and how to navigate a new city. The city is about the size of San Francisco, so it's not like Green Bay, you know, it's a big place, you know. So
She's not ever had.
she hasn't had an exception, no. But it's a lot more days, but it's a lot farther away. I don't know what, I don't know.
She's an aide
In the English letters department, yeah.
Is there a motion?
I move to approve time off request by Claudia Barjarona.
I would second it based on the fact that she's not had it.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. letter on that.
Move to approve the resignation of Chris Moe.
Second.
Questions or discussion?
Yes. I recommend that 2 board members be selected to go and talk to Chris, like an exit interview, but do it in person.
Okay, we will take that up. That is item. And then we have the, yeah, I'm too focused on the next one. Is there, there was a motion and a second to accept the
Motion by
resignation.
Cat.
Motion. Question to discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Then we have the,
Well, I think at this point we could say that it's under accepting it, about the exit interview, but
so you've already talked to Chris about the job, right?
No, I said I would be willing to talk.
But you did talk to her about her not getting the help she needed from CISA, et cetera?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so, anybody else want to talk to Chris? Get a feeling?
my recommendation would be both board members go at the same time
Right,
and sit
right.
down with their, right. Sue volunteered to do
I was
that,
just
right?
looking, she had already talked to her, so I'm looking if there's anybody else.
I
There's
can,
no, okay, Sue and Dick will talk with Chris. And then we have the resignation of Kyle Whitby.
Move to approve the resignation of Kyle Whitby as leader.
second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I just wanted to say thank you for the service. I hope that was the time for that.
I also want to say, you know,
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I just-
I don't, maybe you want to do that again, Steve.
No, I just
Everybody-
said I'd like to thank Kyle for his service to the district for the 7 years in this year. He's led us through a lot of things. Got us this, led us through COVID. Popular thing with a lot of people, varying views on it, guided us through that. Just, I think, did a lot of good things for the district over the 7 years. And hopefully we get something like him. Wishing the best in his family.
My message is very similar of how much you've done for the district, but personally, I just wanted to thank you for, you know, the opportunity to lead and the trust that you put in me to lead the People Services Department. I learned a lot from you, and I thank you for that. And I just wish you nothing but the best in the future for you and your family.
And I think, you know, being on the previous school board, the struggles that we went through with a new school edition, and I think how you basically took it upon yourself to see it through, and you get it done, I think is a major accomplishment. In the past, we've always had, obviously, some opposition to, well, tearing down a 100-year-old building. I think that took an awful lot of persuasiveness, and I think you accomplished that very well.
I'll also add that he did that within his first months of being with the school district. He started that. It's not easy being in a leadership position, having to make decisions and dealing with personnel, but you kind of set us on a good path.
Well, thank you. Tomorrow I'll accept the position at Frederick School District. And the bad news is their mascot's the Vikings. And their colors are blue and gold, and their Viking exactly matches our neighbors to the north.
You gotta go talk to Jay
I'm going to get some gear before I go.
There you go.
So,
Well, and
thank you.
Vince,
And I thank you for all your support over the years too. I mean, it's hard to think it's 7 years now. And Carl Schultz retired in '88. Since '88 till now, Joe McMahon served 15 years. I've served 7, and no one other superintendent served that long. So it's a turnover job. It's a turnover positions, yeah. I didn't know that till Joe McMahon told me, so. yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion is carried. I reached out to CC 7 and Wisconsin Association of School Boards for proposals on their search services. Last time around, we used CISA 7 and their fee was about $3,000. And we shouldn't pick by dollar amount, but I don't know if everybody had a chance to look at this information. Their fee is $7,500. Wisconsin Association of School Boards fee is $9,975. Patty McMinn would be our facilitator.
For WSB or for the other one?
For Wisconsin Association of School Boards, it would be Patty McMinn. She was the superintendent in Southern Door. At CISA, it would be from Michigan.
Colleen.
Colleen. She is a retired superintendent out of Michigan.
I would recommend to go with WASB for 2 reasons. One, I think they give you better service after you hire your new person of onboarding. The other thing, the other feature I like is it's April 15th or whatever right now. You're going to do a search for 3 or 4 weeks. The pool of candidates is getting smaller and smaller by the week. Like right now, Partyville is open. Cedar Grove, Belgium just reposted. In CISA 7, there's 38 school districts. 9 of those school districts will have new superintendents this fall and ended this year with. So the candidate pool is getting smaller every week. You know, Paris is open, Raymond is open.
Grand Arkansas.
Oh, Grand Arkansas, yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one. So there's a lot of openings out there. People are, Twin Lakes is open. There's folks all over moving. And so every week that goes by, I think this late in the game, you may do a search, not find the individual you want, and maybe end up with an interim. If you go interim, WASB has a stable of interim candidates, and they're also connected with WASDA, which has and there's going to be lots of interims to choose from, because a lot of us are retiring and getting out, and then they come back to work. And I know quite a few colleagues that they're retiring. Next week we have our WASDA conference on Wednesday night. We honor our retirees, and I think there's like 20 or 25 of them retiring. They're in that magic age of getting out. So, and being in York County, there's a few retired superintendents already live out here. So I recommend going with WASB because of the service they give once you onboard someone. And even if they come up with an interim, they might do the next search a little cheaper for you a year from now, because you would probably start in January of 25 at that point.
And then this week, we used the last time.
Last time
We used CISA last time. Last time we went because of the price difference, it was a bigger price difference, it was like $3,000 versus $10,000. They both advertise the same places, they both do about the same things, they'll do the advertising, they'll do what we want relative to focus groups and surveys of staff or community or whoever we want to talk to. And they've got a follow-up program. After you bring a person on board, they've got a follow-up program. So
I had experience working with both of them, with CISA 7 with our district last time, and also with WASB when we hired Dr. Colleen Chen as our executive director of CISA, we use the WASB services. So I think they're very good services.
They're both fine. I just think WASB is better.
We need a motion. I'd make a motion to go with WASB for our search for a superintendent.
Second.
there's a motion and a second to use Wisconsin Association of School Boards for our superintendent search services. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Okay, so Patty Dickman will be able to meet with the school board already early next week to kind of lay out the process, what elements we want to use. What's our availability Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? We get a forum.
try to find a time when everybody's available. This is a very important task.
It is, but we can't delay too long.
We gotta get more.
No, exactly, but let's see what we can do.
During the day or at night?
I think probably late after.
Wednesday, I mean.
5 o'clock or 6 o'clock.
I can't do
Later Wednesday?
I'm saying like,
Well, you can't do that.
I can't do Wednesday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What about Tuesday,
Tuesday,
the 23rd?
Tuesday, Patty's school.
Was that?
Patty's school.
Yes, yes.
She's-
She lives in Sevastopol.
She's not traveling that far.
No.
I think I can do Tuesday.
About 4 o'clock.
Monday, Tuesday, I have baseball, but Friday,
Is there a time that better for baseball?
you're at 4:30 or 5. 7 too late? 7 o'clock too late?
On Tuesday?
You meet after school, maybe at something.
I don't think it's gonna be a real long lengthy meeting with her, so 7 is probably
I
okay.
think 7 would work.
Okay, so if that doesn't work for her, what about Thursday?
Same time?
Thursday looks better than me.
Thursday's good. If that's not too late, I go Thursday. I'm gonna go early.
I mean, is that too late?
No,
You just gotta be ready to make decisions.
And again, mean Monday? Somebody say Monday was all right?
Thursday's okay with me.
what Jeff asked, what does Monday look like for people?
In the Monday.
At 7?
Yeah.
Yep, there's a game, but I mean, it's,
Monday.
this is
We're at
important.
7.
Monday at 7, yep.
Monday at 7.
Jeff?
Monday is 7.
Well, okay, you're gonna give Patty a couple options.
Yeah, I'm saying maybe start with Monday.
Right.
If that doesn't work, then we
Monday's
go to
option 1.
Thursday.
If you want to pull it up on Monday earlier than 7 for Patty, that would be fine too.
Just not.
I make deals with my kids, sorry.
Monday is first choice, Tuesday is second choice, Thursday is third choice.
If you could confirm that as soon as possible.
Of course, I'll be at the line right away.
Yeah, because, okay,
So now-
on Friday. You got to post whatever Lisa finds out from Patty, what the meeting is, to post it.
Yeah. Okay, that concludes our regular meeting. I'll take a motion to convene to the executive session.
I would move to convene to executive session.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carried at 8:53 p.m. We're back in session at 10:44 p.m. I'll look for a motion first on the assistant golf coach.
I would move to approve the hiring of Terry Murphy as the assistant golf coach.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Then the custodial positions.
Move to hire Joe Aaron as a bus driver and on the custodian crew.
And it should be noted, he's already a bus driver, but it's a combined position.
You got that? Okay.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I'd make a motion to approve the hiring of Randy Katrina for the summer of 2024 in the custodial crew.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Jeff, are we ahead of you or?
Nope, I'm good.
Then the, Mr. Hurst,
All right, make a motion to approve John Hurst as the custodial crew with duties assigned by Dan Katrina.
Second.
questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Compensation?
High school math teacher.
That's
Oh, sorry, high school math teacher.
Move to approve the hiring of Kimberly Wagner as high school math teacher.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Compensation?
Move to approve a 4.12% raise for all the staff members in the school district.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Is there more on compensation with insurance?
Oh,
That's the
I'll make a
recommendation.
motion to approve 2 years with Purvey at 360 with the second year capped at 18.9%.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Bookkeeper?
move to approve Tasha Ross as the business manager bookkeeper at the rate of recommended.
A second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Under that same topic, hiring Dan Storch.
Oh, yeah.
Season 5?
No, Dan Storch is the Rice Town Business Manager.
Oh, yeah.
Consultant. Yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve Dan Storch as a consultant.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Payroll to CISA 5.
Move to approve support for payroll from CISA 5. Wait, read that around.
Second.
Questions or discussion?
This is an immediate.
As soon as we can make that transition to the review after 6 months, I recommend, right? Yeah, so it's not permanent.
As recommended.
That works.
Good, Jeff?
Yep.
Then we have the motion on season 5 payroll. Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Our next regular meeting is May 15th. We should pick a meet and confer date. And I'm wondering if we might roll that meet and confer into a forum with the staff to talk about the next superintendent. What their thoughts are, what we need. So can we look at a date in May?
We should work with Patty.
We should work with Patty. I guess we could just let the staff know.
I'll let the staff know that Friday's in service, that WASB
Yeah.
is triangulating the search. They'll get input from WASB at some point. That'll be depending on Patty's availability or how she wants to handle it, a survey or in person, however she wants to handle it. You guys are going to try and meet with Patty Vickman Monday, Thursday, or Tuesday next week in that order, correct?
She'll have suggestions for
Oh, she's
questions
done
to
it.
pose for
Yeah.
the
This is
staff.
old hat for her.
Well, but then, how do we,
She'll get
so
that.
if we do this, yeah, that's what I thought.
I would tell the staff to hold off on meeting first, because it's another meeting. The important part now is the forum with WASB to.
And don't lead us to that
person
one.
know that we're
WASB
two
will
items
lead
of
us to the-
conversation.
Do we need to do a
Okay.
motion and approve of the WASB? We didn't have a motion for that.
Oh, we approved that
We did
earlier.
that.
I thought we
Yeah.
did that earlier.
The first part of the meeting.
Yeah, we did
Well,
that.
after my resignation, I thought you did it
Yeah.
up here,
Yeah, because I asked,
superintendent search.
Dave made the motion.
But
You know,
Kaylee
that-
would
Yeah,
have,
but this is before you took over.
Kaylee would have taken that motion in
That was an
open
open
session.
session.
It was an open session.
All right. If there's no other business,
All right, we got it. Okay, yep, that's okay.
I'll take a motion to
I
adjourn.
make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried at 10:50.